هذه جعلنا مسلمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم ما شاء الله تعالى. القرآن الكريم الله سبحانه وتعالى قال كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. How many of you heard this before? Not everybody, huh? There is more. This ayah, this is only half. Anybody memorize the whole Quran? How many? Huh? You know that this, huh? Anybody know the rest of the ayah? وَاللَّهُ أَمَانَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ لَكَانَ خَيْرٌ لَهُمْ منهم المؤمنون وأكثرهم الفاسقون. How many of you didn't know that? Yeah. Because this is part of the ayah. Same ayah. كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله والله أمانة أهل الكتاب لكان خير لهم منهم مؤمنون who أهل الكتاب وأكثرهم فاسقون. This means that whenever we talk about something in the Quran and you don't even say the whole ayah, it could give the wrong meaning. You could think it means something else. There is in the Juz Amma, there is a part of an ayah or part of a surah. If you say it and you stop right there, it means somebody is doing salah and it's against him. Why? Because you don't say all of it. So this is very important. The mountain climber. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So when we talk about the Dawah, we should be aware or at least have an idea what we're talking about. The word Dawah, what does it mean?
To invite.
Huh?
To invite.
I want to be more specific. I know that people say that. It's not wrong. That's not wrong. However, I want to get exactly the meaning. I want to be exact. Because this is about Dawah, so I need to know.
To delivering and preaching to others, to non-Muslims.
No, I want to know the exact meaning of the word. Because if you say it in a general sense, like you said, it goes like a fish. Be careful. This word is related to another word.
Attractive. By your challenging.
The two words They are very similar from the same root.
Invite and call.
في اللغة العربية. دعوة و دعاء. دعاء. These related. Why? ليش? Because you call Allah. This is dua. You call Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah. But you don't call the people the same way. So it's another variation of the same word. Right? Yeah, I know you knew that. So when we say dawah, what we are actually doing, you're not wrong when you say inviting, but specifically you are calling, hey, come on over here, come on over here. It's more than inviting. In the English language, you see this? Okay, what is that? A glass, right? If I try to put all of this in there, what's going to happen? It's not going to work. But when I say, you know what a swimming pool, you know? A swimming pool in this glass. It's not going to work. The swimming pool is the Arabic language. This is the English. Enjoy. So I want to be specific because I want to know what it is that I'm supposed to do. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, specifically He's talking about calling the people to what?
To Islam.
Okay, what is the word deen? What does that actually mean in English?
The way of
Who
life.
said that? Exactly. 30 years ago, when I came into Islam, nobody gave that answer. They would always say religion, 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 religion. Islam is not a religion. When people say man-made religion, I don't want a man-made religion, do you? So, okay, throw it away. That is one of the things that we use when we talk to an atheist, mulhid. What do we tell him? You don't want a man-made religion? We don't either. I want my way of life from Allah. I don't need something made up by a human being. And I don't blame anybody who said that. If he said, I don't want a man-made religion, okay, me neither. And if they say, I don't want an organized religion, hey, Muslims are the misorganized group on the planet, right? We're never organized. And we're never on time either. Except for Salat. I think that when we're talking about calling people to Islam, I think most of us have an idea. But how important is it? This is what the subject really is. How important is dawah? I've heard some people, even in Saudi Arabia, just a couple weeks ago. And, last week, I heard an Arab come up to me, and he said, this is not the time for dawah. Really? Am I dead? What are you talking about? Because the dawah, the calling others to this deen, and calling myself to this deen, it doesn't stop unless you're dead. What does, I'm going to give you another word and then we'll talk about our subject. Taqwa. What does that mean in English? What? Who said that? Say it again. Very close.
Taking precautions.
Okay. Anybody knows about the games that you can play on the phone? Huh? Anybody? Who knows about those games? Astaghfirullah, brother. When you play games on the computer or on the phone, something like that, when you have your little character, he's running around getting in trouble, yeah? He's shooting at something, and something is shooting back. All of a sudden, there's something big. Whoa, really big. Go! Oh, wow. So you have points that you can use. So you use your points and you buy something to protect you. What do you buy? Shield. This is the best understanding for the word taqwa. You buy a shield. How? The word shield here in English explains exactly what you're talking about. Because in Surah Fatiha, you ask Allah something at the very end of the surah. غَيْرُ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ. Huh? You know what? غَيْرُ الْمَغْضُوبِ. What is that? Ghadab. What is ghadab? Do you know? Huh? Most of the time, and I don't blame you, because even if you know English, you read the English translation, it says exactly anger. Not of those who have your anger or go astray. That's what it says. But I want to show you something. You're driving down the street, and it's a red light. Okay, I have to stop behind this guy. And, okay, it turns green. He doesn't move. Beep, beep. He doesn't move. And the light turns red again. Oh, man. I'm angry now, right? And it turns green again. He still doesn't move. Beep, beep, beep. I'm really mad. I'm angry. But then he gets out of his car and he walks back with a hammer. And he starts beating my windshield, beating my car all over. Which one is ghadab? Him. That's ghadab. That's called wrath in English. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not going to be just angry. He's going to do something about it. I got your attention, right? Sometimes I want to do that in the Jummah khutbah when people are falling asleep. I don't do that. Anyway, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. So, the wrath of Allah, you want to be safe from that. You want your shield on that day, on Yawm al-Qiyamah, you want to be shielded against Allah's ghadab. Ghayru maghdubi alayhim. I don't want anything about Allah's ghadab on me. So I need this shield. Now, how do I apply that? This is not something small. This is not a small thing. In the Quran, you have Surah Fatiha. Immediately after that, you have the biggest surah in the Quran. Sah? Okay, and what does it start with? A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Alif Lam Mim. And nobody really knows what that is all about. It's 3 letters out of the Arabic alphabet. But then it says, what does it say in Arabic? Alif Lam Mim. So there is a word here that is not applicable to what I'm talking about, but it is an important thing for you to understand. When it's saying, okay, when I'm holding this, do I say dhalik? Or now, dhalik? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. If I'm holding it, why did I say ذَلِكَ? هذا. Yeah? ذَلِكَ. What does it mean? By the way, some extremists, they put a website against me because I said that. Because they know the English, but they don't know the Arabic. So they put a website. When Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ, the book with Allah, فِي لَوْحٍ مَحْفُوظٍ. This is the book Allah is talking about. Not a book that you're holding in your hand. This isn't even called Quran. You know what it's called? What is it called in Arabic? Huh? Mushaf. Scripture. It's called the Mushaf, not the Quran. We say Quran, and this is why they put the website against me. Because I said this. They know I used to be in the music business, okay. And I said, we used to sell paper that has the musical notes written on it. We said, you want to buy some music today? And we would sell them the paper. But listen to the paper. Do you hear anything? No. If you listen to the book in your hand, do you hear anything? No. Even if you go like that, that's not the Quran, is it? So, what is the very first word in the Arabic language coming to the Prophet ﷺ from Jibril alayhi salam? What does it mean? I gave you all of this and you said that. Huh? Who said that? Recite. The one who stands in the salah, especially in Ramadan, in Taraweeh. Yeah. Do we call him a reader? He's reading? I mean, seriously, if he picked up a book and started reading, okay, today I'm going to read. What are you talking about? We call him a reciter. From what word? He's a what? A qari. He's a qari. So he's a reader. So why I'm using the same exact word Qari, Iqra. It's the imperative of the verb because you put an alif before it, so it's you recite, right? Then that's what Jibril alayhi salam was telling the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's saying, recite for me, not read. Do you know why? Do you know why it said that? I'm going to tell you, inshallah. About 800 years ago, the first translation of Quran to English was done by the Catholic Church. The first translation done by a bishop. Do you think he was trying to enter Islam? No. English was brand new. It was only 200 years old, less than 200 years old when he did that. George Seoul, 200 years ago, used that same one to retranslate it, to make it more up to date. But he used the same words. He was a Christian, and he didn't want Islam either. He said some nice things about the Quran, but he said, of course, we know Christianity is better. That's what he said. I read that, and he was talking about that 200 years ago. He also made up some stuff about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't want to go into it, but it's really bad, really bad. What is the importance of knowing that? Because they use that and many other things to say that we can prove the Quran is wrong. Na'udhu billah. Look. If Jibril alayhi salam said, read, and then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ana Umi, they made this false hadith. That is not a true hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Ma ana bikari. He said, I'm not a reciter. I'm not a reader? No. He said, I'm not a reciter. And that is what they use to say, well, it looks like the angel was getting mad at him. So he grabbed him and said, I told you to read. And then, I grabbed him and I said, you read. But he never learned how to read. So we can prove the Quran is wrong. Because even he didn't know how to read. So what's the big point? From the very first word. See it? You get it now, huh? So don't let anybody tell you what, especially don't let somebody who's not a Muslim, not an Arab, tell you what the Quran means. If you rely on translations, you don't know what the Quran really said. You don't. You can recite it, but you don't know what it means. Even if you think you do, it's better to go to the scholars of the Arabic, not just an Arab, but the scholars of the Lagut Arabiya. Because when you do, you'll be so surprised. One thing after the other, after the other. And by the way, I'm not a scholar at all. I'm just your brother trying to help share the message of Islam with non-Muslims. So, but think about it. If we are already off that much, see how easy it is for them to say to their people, oh, we'll be nice to them, but when you get back into the church, we'll tell you what it really said, blah, 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 blah. And they admit to it because they're using translations. So I wanted to emphasize all of these things before we talk about how important it is to give dawah. Because if we don't know what we're doing, how do we expect them to get it? Make sense? All right. I used to give an example, but I don't know if I need it. But basically, if you tell somebody to come on over to your house, you're calling them, you're inviting them. Okay, come on over to my house, and we're going to have a wonderful time. You just come on over and be hungry. Be hungry when you come over. What do I get out of that? Somebody is inviting me to his house, and he's going to feed me, huh? And I say, where's your house? 123 Main Street. Okay. So I go to 123 Main Street. I see 122 and 124. There is no 123. But I see my friend standing there, and I said, where's your place? He said, right here. I said, where is that? It's an empty lot. It's just grass. He said, this is my place. Oh, really? It looks like it's going to rain, man. You don't have a place to stay. He said, this is my place. I said, well, okay, I'm hungry. Okay, good. So where's the food? I didn't say I was going to have any food. I said, be hungry. Okay, what do you think about a person that would invite you to something they don't even have? Huh? It's really stupid, huh? Huh? So what do you think about a Muslim that doesn't even know what he's calling to? And this is exactly what they use. So if somebody doesn't do salat, they don't fast, they don't pay zakat, they don't do hajj, only thing they have left is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, and maybe they don't even say that right. How can they call me to something that they don't have? How? So the first thing, before you even start thinking about calling other people, it's important to have it yourself. And don't start calling to people something you don't have. Otherwise, they will see through it and they'll say, you don't do it. And you say, well, yeah, I don't do it, but you should do it. What is that? It reminds me of something, though. Maybe I should say this. What does the word salah mean? Salah. Salat. What? Huh? And don't use another word to describe a word in Arabic. What does salat mean?
Asking witness.
What's it related to? Anybody who has the Arabic language? Who? You have the Arabic language? Who else? You have Arabic? Yeah, you do. What is sila? Somebody show me what is sila.
To connect between these.
Same root. Connection with Allah. So why do we say pray? Because we do prayer in the salah. The salah is the connection so that I can call Allah. If I don't have a connection, you know what I'm doing? I'm just standing around and, hey, 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 hey. But you want the connection. You have a connection? Why aren't you using it? Why are you just saying, hey, hey? No, you don't have to do that. Just make the connection. Assalamu alaikum. Ah. Easy, right? So this is your connection with Allah to do what? Your dua. So you are praying, but the word salah doesn't mean pray. It means connect. Sorry. Anyway. I think now we are ready to talk about how to call other people to it. Because we have the basic, we have the understanding, at least of some of the words. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't call people because you don't understand some of the meanings. But if you don't have the idea behind it, then somebody who is exposed to the attacking on Islam. For instance, when they say jihad, jihad, oh, his name is jihad, oh. Anybody here named jihad? Huh? One? Two? Huh? Yeah. So, what does that mean? It's the one who is really working hard, really at work with what he is in front of him. He's not ignoring it. He's not looking at that, I don't have time. No, he's working hard on it, really hard. When they say ijtihad, what does that mean? Somebody that's really, they're looking through the books and examine this, and what does that word mean? And I'm going to give this answer right here. If somebody has a question, comes to him, and he does ijtihad, and he says, Allahu alam, but I think this is the answer. If he's right, he gets 2 rewards. But if he's wrong, what happens? 1 reward. Why? Because he did ijtihad. So this is really important for us to know that it means hard work. Hard work. When we say struggle, strive, a lot of people don't know that because they don't know the words. But if you say hard work, everybody, most of the people in Texas try to get away from that. Whenever we're talking about the words in Arabic, this is one thing. This is one thing. But how about the understanding? I just had an interview with somebody from the newspaper, the big newspaper here. Okay. What's it called? The biggest newspaper in all of Korea.
Korea Times.
Huh?
Herald, not Herald. Popular one.
The big one, yeah. Okay, so they came over. And what he was saying, he had to do it through an interpreter, somebody that could translate. But what he was saying was that he had experienced Afghanistan and Kabul. And particularly, Islam is this and this and this. And he said, I've found so much things about it. He was being honest. But he wasn't being correct. But it's what he was exposed to, what he knows. If somebody says to a woman, you have to wear hijab, he doesn't know her. It's not like her father or her brother, but just some stranger saying, you have to wear hijab. Or you have to wear niqab. Is that right, that somebody could come up and do that? In Islam. don't even know if she's a Muslim. Why does a woman have to cover up? Only if she wants to obey Allah. But what does the Quran say right after Ayatul Kursi? La ikraha fid din. There is no forcing in the way of Allah. I used a different translation, the way of Allah. So if that's the case, and we said, well, I can't call these people to Islam because they don't dress properly. I want to ask you now. Now, let's look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If he said, I'm not going to talk to any women who don't wear hijab, in the very beginning of his message, how many women would he be talking to? 0. And if he said, you have to wear the clothes that I wear right now to be a Muslim, they would be saying, you know what? We're already wearing those clothes. What are you talking about? Actually, he never said that. Why am I wearing this? Why am I wearing this? Why? Because I want to. That's all. But does it mean that I'm a Muslim? Actually, no. Anybody could buy this clothes and put it on and say, jihad, jihad, jihad. And actually, some people do that. They don't even know what Islam is. They just want to fight. They want to kill somebody. At the end of the day, only Allah knows who has the spirit for His deen. So the best thing for us to do is to be honest with ourselves and then honest with the people. Now, would you like to know something that I discovered? I've been Muslim 31 years, and I still don't know anything, really. I learned as much this year as I did in all the 30 years before. This year, yes, sir. Allah let me do something that I've always wanted to do since I've been Muslim. He let me do that in March of this year. I got to go to Aqsa and see the Dome of the Rock and pray in the Masjid there and stay as long as I want to for days, have fun, and give Dawah. Because it's the only place of the 3 where Muslims mixing with Christians. And it was beautiful. Oh my God, it was beautiful. Because Christians come there only because they really are the Christians we were talking about. وَاللَّهُ أَمَانَ أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ لَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُمْ مِنْهُمُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. These are the ones who are going there for their pilgrimage, their Hajj. And when you see them, they're soft. They're just almost crying. And it was Easter. And they had the big cross. And they were carrying that cross. And it passed right in front of our Dawah place. We have a Dawah place there. And I was watching the cross go, and I said, what's that? And the brother told me, this is Salib. I said, huh? What? They still do that? And they said, yeah, every year. And then all of a sudden, one of the Christians was going with them. He stopped and he turned and he said, he looked at the display. He said, is that the Quran? And Sheikh Mursi said, yeah. So he came over there And he held it like this. He said, I've always wanted one. Huh? You're supposed to be with the Christians over there. What are you doing? I was shocked. And he knew English, but he was from Bavaria, where they speak German. But he said, I know English. I can use that. Sheikh said, I'll go get you the German. He said, no, I like to read English. And he started talking to him. And then he motioned for me to come over. And then he said, talk to this guy. Take him inside. Take him, show him. And I thought, well, he's going to want to go catch up with his friends with the Salib. He didn't care. He had the Quran. I said, how do you know about this? He said, because I was with some Arabs from Egypt. And he said they were so nice. And I want to know what the Quran teaches them to be so nice. They came to me and they told me I got to go up to the restaurant on top of the hill. We're going to look down and do the television thing. We have a TV channel, right? So I didn't want to leave the guy because I want to give shahada to somebody today. So I asked him, are you hungry? He said, yeah. I said, why don't you come with us? So he went with us. And when we got up there, it was so beautiful. It's like being up here. And you look out there at when you walk out on the thing, you say, oh, like that. Only imagine you're looking down on the Blue Mosque, the Masjid Aqsa and Dome of the Rock. It really is beautiful. And he was looking down at it too. And I pointed out, I said, this is the church over here, and this is the masjid over there. And he was so happy. Then I asked him 3 questions. 3 questions. Because Allah put this in my heart as we were going toward Aqsa. Ask 3 questions. So I asked him, first question, is there really a God? Really? He said, yes. So that's the first question. Ask somebody, is there really a God? And if they say yes, okay, this is somebody that at least they know that there's a creator. And if he said no, then just ask him, can you prove it? Most people, most of us, we think we have to prove there's a God. No, we don't have to prove anything. We already have it, the proof. Hey, hello, you're sitting there. In the college, in the psych class, Psychology 101, the first thing the professor tells you, he doesn't believe in God. And he thinks it's a joke. And he will say, is there anybody here that still believes in God? Na'udhu billah. Why does he say that? Because he doesn't believe. Why do we have to prove to him? Then he will say, can you prove you're here? Have you ever, anybody here heard that question? Can you prove that you're here?
No, it's quite impossible.
Of course we can. I never took psych class, but if I did and somebody said that, I would say, you know what? You can't prove that I'm here, right? You can't prove you're there. Could you just go ahead and sign this for me anyway, and then I won't have to come back to the class? Just give me an A. But it doesn't matter. You don't even know if I'm here. Give me an A, and I'll see you next year. Why not? Because it's stupid. That is the most stupid thing that anybody... Now, there's jahl. But jahl doesn't mean stupid. It means that a person doesn't know. Yeah, he has no knowledge. Okay. But when somebody has knowledge and they're stupid, there's another word for that. Anyway, the idea is that if somebody says there is no God, then we can clear it up. I mean, is there a creator behind all that we see? A creator. And if they admit that, and they say, the next question, is God one? First ask the question, is there a God? And if they say yes, is God one? That's real important. Because if they say no Trinity, all right? Or if they say no, like a Hindu, oh, God is everywhere. God is in this and that, and He's in a tree, and He's also in the flowers, and in the smells, and He's everywhere. So that's not one. By the way, if they say God is everywhere, just tell them, ask them, what is He in? Is He in this and that, in the mountains, in the beautiful sunset? Oh, yeah, okay. Is He in the toilet? And I've done this. And they say, oh, no. So, can you give me a list of where He is and where He isn't? And then they don't know how to answer that. But what does it mean when they say God is everywhere? That means the creation, the makhluk, the question should be, if there is God in everything, and God created everything, so God created Himself? How do you get that? So there's nothing, and then all of a sudden, there is something. How? There's nothing there at all. Nothing. But then there's something. How?
Makes sense.
It's stupid. Some people get so much knowledge, but they don't know how to use it. They become stupid. So if somebody said there is no God, just ask them, prove it. You cannot prove a negative statement. Because when you say there's not, there's no proof with it. And if he can tell you, you can't prove a negative statement. Say, well, then you don't have any proof for what you just said. I see you. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you don't have eyes. But I hear you. And I see you. So I know you exist. All right? Yeah. And I know I exist. Hello? So that resolves that real fast. Now, if he wants to stay on that, say, Masalama, bye. I don't need that. But I'm only calling, I'm not forcing anybody. So if he wants to believe he doesn't exist, go ahead. So God is one. God exists. God is one. What's the third question? It's real simple. If you do believe in God, the Creator. Now, what about the one who says, well, how do you explain evolution? Darwin's theory. The only way of life, Islam, is the only one that explains evolution. We believe in evolution 100%, but most of the people talking about evolution, they don't even know what it is. So I take a tree and turn it into a snake? Can you take a rock and turn it into an elephant? No. But can you take a horse that lived maybe 2 million years ago and it was only this big, but today it can be that big? Yeah. That's evolution. People didn't used to look like we look. They were bigger, much bigger. Yeah? How big was Adam? 60 cubits. You know how big that is? Have you ever seen a water tower? Where they have the water up in the air? I'm stuck on here. Yeah, there we go. So that would be taller than if he was standing down on the ground below where the cars are. He would still be taller than this building.
So tall.
Yeah.
So tall.
Big. If you think about that just for a minute, that is the idea of evolution. Something could be bigger, something could be smaller, something could be wider, something could have the eyes real close or the eyes far apart, but it's always the same species. It never changes. So human beings didn't come out of chickens, and a giraffe didn't come out of an elephant. That's what they're trying to say. But Allah is Al-Khaliq, right? Is He the one that created everything? But somewhere on here, these are the names of Allah, yeah? Somewhere, I don't know where it is, it's Al-Bari. Maybe it's over there somewhere. Al-Bari. What does Al-Bari mean? One of the translations is the evolver. Allah is the one who changes the shapes and makes it something else. So there's evolution right there. That is exactly what we see in real life, and we have the proof, but the only religion on the planet that has Allah as the evolver is Islam. So you can overcome these problems the atheist has. But what about the one who said, okay, there is a God, and He's one. What is the next thing? If you really believe in Allah, you really believe in the God who created everything, you believe in the God who did all the evolution for you. So what is the relationship you want with Allah? That's the question. Do you tell God what to do? Some people, they think they can do that, especially the new Christians right now. They say, I want this and I want it now. Some of the preachers tell their people, if you believe strong enough, you can do it. You have the power. You have the power of willpower. You can do it. You ever heard these guys? Huh? If they really have that power, why do they need my money? I mean, I worked for my money. I don't have much, and I sure don't want to give it to a guy that's flying around in a jet plane that he owns, and he's saying, I don't have a big enough jet for all my friends. I want a bigger jet. You seen this guy? I'm not even going to say his name. But he loves the dollar. Now you know who I meant. So, but the point that I'm making now is that there is no power at all. You do not have willpower. That would mean you could say, kun fayakun, and you got it. Huh?
Yeah.
Only Allah can do that. Because la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So this is very clear. There is no power except the power of Allah. And He can do whatever He wants to do. And we have nothing to say about it. We can ask Allah. We can beg Allah. But at the end of the day, we have to adjust ourselves to what Allah wants. Is that true or false? Yeah. If you don't understand, it's okay, but we'll try to tell you, we'll share with the people. This life, we are born and we die. We're born and we die. So what's the point? What is the point of living here if I'm going to die anyway? There has to be a reason. Otherwise, this is nonsense. What is the point? In Surah Al-Dariyat, Allah tells us in verse, I think the surah is number 51, I think it's in verse 56 or something like that. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. He said He did not create the jinn. And what did He create first? Jinn. And He says that. I did not create the jinn and mankind except for what? Ibadah. And if somebody says that they translate it wrong, if they translate it to say, well, I didn't create the jinn and mankind except for what? Huh? They will say, the English translation. If you don't know what it is, I'm not going to tell you because I want to tell you what the right one is. Worship. Because some of them say religion. Yeah, but worship. Now, if somebody says, oh, well, I'm an atheist, so I don't worship anything, so your religion is wrong. Right away. Really? You don't worship anything? We didn't say that you worship God. We said worship. It doesn't say in there what you're going to worship. It says that Allah didn't create anything, any of the people or jinn, except for worship. So what does that mean?
Sorry, time for calling the azan.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. You take over.
Assalamu alaikum. After the calling the azan, inshallah, we have the question and answer session. You can, inshallah, ask Sheikh Yusuf Estes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. So there are three questions. The first question, is there really a God? If they say no, prove it. Second question, is God one? If anything is created, Allah is the Al-Khalaq, so He's the creator. He didn't create Himself. That's not logic. So He has to be one. Also, if there was more than one God, the Quran says it, they would fight. They would clash. Okay, so we got that. The third question, though, is real simple. You want God to do what you want to do, or you want to do what God wants you to do? That's as simple as it gets. And if they say, no, I want to do what God wants me to do, now, there's side questions to these, but that's the big one. You mean always or just sometimes? So if I'm happy, I'm going to go along with whatever God wants me to do. But if I don't like it, oh, now I'm going to start complaining. Okay? Now, complaining is different than making dua. Just, oh, why did you do that? I don't like that. No, but Allah, help me through this. Because we understand that this life, and that's what I was talking about, from the time we're born to the time we die, that's the life that we get. Some people live to be old age. Some don't live very long at all. But whatever it is, that is our life. And it's all about ibtila, a test from Allah. That's it. Nothing more than that. You're tested on your feelings, your emotions, your thinking, your work that you do, the family that you have. All of that is nothing more than what? A test. You get attracted to something, you have a love for something, and then but it's all going to end when you die. You go into the grave, then on Yom Kippur you're raised up, and then what? And then you find out how much you really didn't know about it. And then you find out how much, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that, but too late. So that's it for everybody. It's not just about me or you, it's about the entire planet. Everybody is in the same kind of a situation. Most people, they don't know it. And that is what we're calling people to get the understanding. Now, I would like to say this before we turn it into Q&A. Huh? Yeah, but that's what I was just saying. Before we do the Q&A, I wanted just to mention the one little thing. That when we're talking with people of other faiths, or even, let's say somebody is Shiite, and somebody is Sufi, and somebody is Sunni, somebody is Guni, or whatever. What did Allah call us in the Quran? Which one of the groups did He say? Actually, He didn't say it. He just said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutuna
إلا وأنتم مسلمون.
Muslimun? Oh yeah, but I want to be this or that. So Allah called us Muslim. And that's good enough for me. So I'll tell you this one little thing, and then we'll turn to question and answer. I was coming back from Mexico, and when I come into they give me the questions. They took me right off of the plane. When I stepped out, I was the first person out of the plane.
Okay.
And when I stepped off, they were waiting for me. And they didn't say, who are you? Are you Yusuf Estes? No. They just said, come here. Like that. So they knew who I was, okay? And when I got to that little room, they asked the question. They asked some questions. Where were you? What did you do? And so on. And I told them. But then they asked me, what kind of a Muslim are you? Now, I know, because we helped make the list that he had right in front of him. So I know what he meant, but I said, what do you mean? He said, what kind of Muslim are you? I said, well, I'm a fat Muslim and I'm trying to lose weight. And I didn't laugh, because I knew I would be in trouble, you know. And then he said, no, I mean, what kind of Muslim are you? And I said, well, I'm an old Muslim, but I can't do anything about that. He said, what type of Muslim? I said, my blood type is B positive. And I realized if I keep playing with him, I'm going to miss my connecting plane. And he said it again, and he was looking through the pages, this Muslim, that Muslim. I said, I'm a Christian Muslim. He said, a what? I said, you have Hebrewish Muslim right in there. I know, because we put it in there. He said, oh yeah, Hebrew Muslim. There's no such thing as a Hebrew Muslim. But there's people who say that. There's all kind of, there's 5% Muslim in New York. You know that they say we're 5% Muslim and 95% Christian. This is stupid. But, so I said, I'm a Christian Muslim. He said, how? I said, I was a Christian and I became a Muslim. So he wrote something down and he said, you can go. But then I got to thinking, I got the next plane, I got thinking, I said, maybe I started another group. Tariqa Estesia, you know, something like that. Anyway, so let's open it up for the question and answers. But I'll tell you what, I want to ask the questions and you guys give the answers. How about that? No? Okay, only ask questions I know the answer to, so it makes me look smart. Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, Jazakallah khair. Thank you.
I have two questions regarding the Dawah. So, apart from preaching, what are the other ways a Muslim can take in order to invite non-Muslims to Islam? The first question. And the second one is...
Wait a minute. Did you think we had a sale on 2 for 1?
Close to each other. So, as a matter of manner, what are the appropriate ways to Dawah non-Muslim in order to not cause any offense to them, because everyone has their own beliefs and followers?
I'm glad you asked that question, because that would have been the next thing that I would have talked about if we didn't have to cut it off. But a lot of people, they will draw a line and they say, you're on that side and I'm on this side. So I want to argue with you. Okay, what is your religion? Okay. Maybe somebody's a Christian, or maybe somebody's Jewish, or whatever. The first thing I want to do is make sure that line is not between me and them. I want both of us to be on the same side and put shaitan on the other side. So there's no debate. There's no debate. The verse in the Quran, which is interpreted to be call the people to the Islam in a better way, they say that it means like a debate. Manadara and mahadara are two different words. The one is debate and the other one is a lecture or a talk. So we're talking with somebody. We're not arguing with them. It's not to argue. It is to present it in a better way than they do. So what we want to do, at least what I want to do, you can do it any way you want to, but I want them to be on my side right here, me and him or her, whatever, against the shaitan. If we do it that way, they feel more comfortable. And I tell them up front, I believe that there is a devil. And they say, yeah. So I want you and me to share back and forth. How can we get away from that guy and get closer to Allah? And if you want to say God, okay, I'll say God. No problem. All I want to do is get to Jannah. I want to go to paradise, and I'd like for you to share with you. If you have anything better than what I got, I'm ready to go. There's no argument. If you can prove something better than what we already have, ready to go. Just tell me what it is you have. That is exactly what the man told me 31 years ago. He said, if you have anything better than what I have, I'm ready to go with it. And I said, oh, yeah, I got it, because you don't have to pray 5 times a day, you don't have to fast Ramadan, you don't have to pay zakat, you don't have to go for Hajj. So I got something better. But then he said, you have to have proof. I said, what? Religion is not about proof, it's about faith. Iman. Yeah. He said, well, we have faith in Islam, but we also have the proof. And without thinking, I said to him, you mean you can prove there's a God? And then he said, you mean you can't? Oh. That makes you think. So we have the proof. It's right in front of you. If somebody wants an example, I don't know if you're asking that question or not, but in your mind, maybe you're thinking it. What about the one who said, what's the proof? In the Quran, 1,444 years ago, roughly, a long time ago, huh? It was talking about things that we only know today under a microscope. The first thing that revealed to the Prophet ﷺ has the word alaq. Alaq. Who knew at that time that there's exactly an alaq is exactly what is inside of a woman when she gets pregnant? Because you can't see it unless you have a microscope. But microscopes were not invented. And by the way, Muslims invented the microscope. The first concept of that 1,000 years ago. We had it on our TV channel this year. Also, there was no telescopes. So nobody knew about planets, and they had ideas. Even before the Prophet ﷺ, they had an idea that the earth was kind of round, but they didn't know it was exactly shaped like a what? Ostrich egg. And that's exactly what but nobody could get out into space and look back at it at that time, but now we can. So we have the proof right in front of us. And that's what he said. If you have better proof than we do, then we'll love it. Come on, bring it. So that's, I think, is a good answer to you.
Next second part, which like, for example, a person who is non-Muslim, right? Whatever religion he follows. So if you talk like kind of a differentiation between religions, so maybe he would think
if he's offended by common sense, then so be it. Common sense is common sense. But I do like to ask it as a question instead of making a statement. Because if you make statements to people, you have to do this, you have to do that. If you don't believe this, you're stupid. Oh, no, that's not going to work. But I can ask it as a question. Do you think that God created himself? They'll say no, because of the way you ask the question. Do you think that God doesn't know what's going to happen? Well, maybe, I don't know. What we know, because Allah told us in the last revelation. The Quran is not the only thing that ever been revealed, because it even says it in the Quran that we have to believe in the original documents. If somebody's referring to the Old Testament or the New Testament or whatever, but we have the last testament, and it still exists in the minds and hearts of over 200 million people walking on the planet today. Memorize the entire Quran. And 2.2 billion people know parts of the Quran. Maybe they only know Fatiha, but they know parts of it, and they can say it in the original language. But the Quran doesn't mean paper. We talked about that. That's why I talked about that. So if they say, well, maybe your book is made mistake. Hold on. We're not talking about my book. We're talking about the book with Allah that has no mistakes. Okay? So get that in your head first.
I have a question.
He has a question. Say it loud though, so they can hear it.
So, yes. Okay. So this is Ariful Islam, originally from Bangladesh. I'm here as an imam and Muslim missionary under the Korean Muslim Federation. I have a question regarding the biblical matter, as you were a Christian priest before 30 years ago. So this question is, I have been having very trouble to find what the exact answer is. The question is, we see in the New Testament, the Gospel of Matthew, there are two sentences, chapter 10 and verse 24, chapter 10 and verse 5, and chapter 15 verse 24, that Jesus was sent not whole of mankind, but he was sent only the lost sheep of Israel. So my question to you that, why the Christians missionary, almost 400,000 Christian missionaries are proselytizing and they're preaching the gospel around the globe, as South Korea also. So you were also once upon a time as a Christian preach and missionary. So why the Christian missionary, they're going against their biblical phrases? And I hope that I will have the correct answer. And it's my pleasure and privilege to, I cannot believe, and it seems to me unbelievable. I'm very emotional that I can hear and listen. And mashallah, I found very important keys about the Dawah's materials to you. Jazakallah, may Allah grant you and may Allah live long you. And mashallah, may this trip, a reason as a, spreading Islam in South Korea. Mashallah, Jazakallah, Shaykh.
I want to talk about something else. You guys are so good to me, and I don't even know how to repay you for this. I make dua for you, but you guys are the sweetest, nicest people that I've ever met. The gathering of all you guys together, and you're from different backgrounds and different places, but you have the same essence that I hope that I have for calling people to Islam. And what you just said, that was the answer to your question, and you already know that. Because in the Bible, they're calling to, first of all, they're calling to Trinity, right? Yes. They say God is three. He's one God, but in three parts. But he's three gods, but in one part. But all of it is just like, okay, your finger has, this is a part, and this is a part, and this is a part, but it's still one finger. Huh? Or the apple with the red on the outside, the white on the inside, and the seeds on the inside of that. You know what? When I presented that to the Muslim who helped me get to Islam, he said, a question. He said, do you count the seeds? Ooh. And then I asked one of the pastors, I said, what? He said, I told you, don't go near these Muslims. They're shaitan, they're the devils. I said, yeah, but I want to answer it. He said, no. He said, what did you tell him? I said, about the apple. He said, no. Tell him about the egg. Okay, the egg, the shell on the outside, the white on the inside, and then the yellow. Ha! You know what the answer is? What if it's a double yolk? God became four. He's not a triangle, he's a square. And you're comparing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to an egg, to an apple, to a finger? Seriously? So if you ask them that, but the big thing is, do you believe in the Bible? Really believe in the Bible? Can the Bible have mistakes in it? Oh, no. Okay. Can it have contradictions in it? No. Nope. Okay. We believe that about the last revelation, which is the Quran. But what does it say about the Trinity in the Bible? Can you tell me? The word Trinity. What page is it on? Huh?
No,
Do you know what page the word Trinity is on?
not a single verse.
Oh, it's not there? That explains why I couldn't find it either. It's not there. There is a verse that was added. In the 13th century, there was a verse added by Beza. He did it against his will because he said when he was translating it, he said because they were pushing him to put something in there about the Trinity. And he said, there's nothing like that. And they said, why? He said, if you show me something in Greek, a Greek manuscript, then I'll put it. And they brought him one. He said, yeah, but this was written just 100 years ago. But this not in the old. And they said, no, you said that you would put it in there if we showed you the Greek. So he put it in there. And you know what that is? In the beginning of my Bible, it tells you that is what happened. So, yeah, there's no Trinity in the Bible. Anyway, next question.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Yusuf Estes. On behalf of the sisters, because brothers is asking to direct to you, but some sisters said we
I
are not.
can't hear anything
Sorry,
you're saying.
some sisters said to me we are not able to ask to Sheikh Yusuf Estes to directly the question, so they sent me to one question for sisters.
A sister
yeah.
said, I
Oh,
posted to it.
okay. Yeah.
Could I read it?
This is basically, I'll read you the end of it. It says, how do we organize the messages, Dawah itself in better ways, more organized? And to do that, to answer that question, we'd have to have a class on that, how do you get organized? You know, like how to start a business. You don't just say that in one sentence. This is a very big a big question about the organization. And she is right on the point. This is needing to be done, but you guys can figure that out. You have the essence already. One of the things is you have to ask Allah. Duh. That's simple. And then work together. Make a jama'ah for this purpose. And don't get into the thing about arguing over, you know, like how long the miswak has to be. Don't get into that. Don't get into, oh, you got the white cap? I thought you were going to wear a brown cap. Or, oh, you don't have a cap on your head? Okay, that's not, because most of that is mixed up. Most of that whole story is mixed up. Somebody could be a Muslim. What if somebody, for instance, he just wears the clothes of the people around him, and he's living with kuffar, and he wears those clothes of the kuffar? Are they kafir clothes? The clothes are kafir? I heard that when I came into Islam. They were saying, but then I asked a scholar about it. You know what he said? What about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Do we follow him? I said, yeah. He said, did he wear the clothes of the kuffar? Everybody was kafir at his time. Yeah? What did he say? I'm not going to wear your clothes? Oops. What did they wear? None of us today are dressed like he did. You know how? Because they only wore two garments. One they wrapped around the top and one they wrapped around the bottom, like when you're in Hajj or Umrah. Ooh. Ooh. The difference is when you go for Hajj and Umrah, it has to be pure white, no drawing on it or no colors, or just a white, like a big beach towel, but no colors. Oops. So that is the one thing when we're going to get organized, we have to realize that there's some basic things we don't need to get into. But if you want to wear the clothes of your place where you came from, go ahead. Yesterday I was wearing a cowboy hat, but I didn't wear it in here because I didn't want to distract all of the attention to a cowboy hat. It's red, white, and blue. I mean, hello. So, anybody else have a question?
Brother, we will take just last two questions. Sorry, now it's time is 4 o'clock. We will get just last two questions, please.
Huh?
Now it's 4 o'clock. We have to say prayer, Asr prayer.
Okay, after the Salah,
yes.
Because I already prayed the Asr, I'm leaving. Okay, so if can you delay Salah or you have to pray it on time?
I just think if you get like
I can't hear you. Take it.
If you take last two last questions, then we will also pray.
Then we're finished. Because I'm leaving.
Yes.
If I stay, I got to pray, and how am I going to pray something that...
So what... Okay, inshallah, some more questions, inshallah.
Is there any problem if we stay? Anybody want to do the Asr Salah right now? No. Go outside and do it. Yeah, that's a simple answer. Okay. So, go ahead. Wa alaikum salam.
Problem
Okay, that is a very good question. But you also included something about arguing. You also included about debating. That's not what the Dawah is about. Put that out of your mind. We're not on YouTube, okay? We're not on TikTok. We're not on Facebook. We're not trying to argue with anybody. The brothers right here, the brothers right here in front of you right now, do you want to argue with them? No. Why do you want to argue with somebody else who's not your brother yet? Yeah? Okay. So the answer that I think maybe makes the most sense is this is not a argument or a debate. It's just about sharing information with each other. Yeah, I told you 3 things. And this is from what we call the elevator pitch. You can say it real fast. In the time it goes from the 9th floor down to the bottom, you can say all 3 questions and hear the answers. And then when they get out of the elevator, they can walk wherever they want to go. First question, is there really a God? Second question, is God one? Third question, what's the relationship? You tell God what to do, or God tells you what to do. And then the final thing you can tell them, and we didn't cover this, is go pray to God that you believe in and ask Him to guide you. Masalama. That's it. That's real simple. And if you have a problem with the people, they don't want to talk about it, just ask them a question. You're not telling them what to think. You're asking a question. Is there really a God? Is God one? What is the best relationship to have with God? You tell Him what to do, or God tells you what to do? Well, go talk to God. Simple. Yes?
Brother is very hardworking to ask a question. Please
Can I go first? So, we as Muslims living in a non-Muslim country, what's your views on, as far as I know, that we can stay here for studies in a non-Muslim country. So, if I want to start a business or maybe start a family or settle down in a non-Muslim country, because eventually I'm going to be...
I get your question. Okay, can I answer it? Okay. The question, what about being with non-Muslims? Do you have to leave? Okay, if you can and you want to, then go. But we follow Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Or wrong? Okay. So did he, as soon as he got the message, did he run away from Mecca? Why? They were all kuffar. Oops. All right.
I think I find it very difficult then dawah to non-Muslims. How about the dawah to Muslims?
Okay, the brother's asking a very good question. He said, what about the dawah to Muslims? But dawah, as we learned in the very beginning, it means calling people to something they don't have. When you're talking to Muslims, you don't say dawah. The correct understanding is islah. You're reminding them, you're calling them back, you're making a connection with them, you're helping them to just do what they're already supposed to be doing. So it's not dawah. But it is calling somebody to come back to what they have. But it's the terminology is Islah. That's what the scholars told me. But I get what you're saying. So we need to share. And that's what I started out with, and that's what I want to wind up with. We are all in the same boat. Can I give you an example? The Prophet ﷺ told us about people in a boat. There's one of the first hadith I ever heard. The Jamaat Tabligh. They came in and they were telling us that, and I never forgot it. Because they said this boat, and they were talking in English. People in the bottom of the boat and people on the top of the boat. The people on the bottom of the boat want some water, but they don't want to bother the people up there on the top, so they said we can just drill a hole in the boat and we can get all the water we want. But if the people on the top let the people on the bottom do that, they'll all drown. So that is why, whether it's the people on the bottom of the boat or the top of the boat, we all are in the same boat. All of us are human beings, and we're all trying to get closer to Allah. We all want the Jannah. And now, there's something that I didn't tell you about, and I should tell you about this before we close. The word Islam has everything in it that is needed for the people today. The unfortunate part of this is that no translation ever lists the word Islam. They always say Islam. So that's not a translation. It's the transliteration. You're using English letters to spell out a word, but you're not translating it. If you say Islam, 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 you know what? The media has picked up on that, and they destroyed us before we ever get started. Islamic terrorism. Oh, extremist Islam. Oh, the Muslims, the extremists. Just translate it, and they can't say anything. Why? What does the word Islam mean in English?
Submit our will.
Very good. You guys are doing really good. I'm real proud of you. Because when I asked that question 30 years ago, nobody could answer it. They would just say, it's Islam, it's Islam. That's an Arabic word. I don't know what you're meaning. Surrender, submission, obedience, and sincerity. Those have to be there before you can go any further. You surrender to God, terrorism, that doesn't work. Submit to God's will, terrorism, that doesn't work. Obeying God, obeying the commandments. The 10 commandments are a part of what we have in the Quran. So no problem there. And then sincere with God. How can you say any terrorism is so associated with any of those words? Now, here's what a person gets if they do those 4 things. You know what they get? And check it out. This is the number one thing that people are worried about today. Security. Are they worried about security? Security on your computer? You have a password on your computer. You have a password on your phone. Yeah? Is there anybody here that doesn't have a password on their phone? You don't have a password? Don't lose it. Now everybody knows that you don't have a password. You get the idea. This is real critical. That one word, security. But there's more. How many people are worried about being safe? Why do you have burglar alarms? Why do you have alarms in your house? Why do you have alarms in the hotel rooms that have the detectors? If there's a fire, I'm worried about what? I need the alarms. Because I need to be safe. I want to be safe. I want to be secure. Oh. And what else? Peace. The word Islam is related to one of God's, Almighty Allah's names. What is it? You know everything. You got it. You got it. Salam. As-salam, that Allahumma anta salam. Wa minka salam. You are the salam, and only you can give us, because it all comes from you. So, yeah. And that is the word. Now, some Muslims will go, Islam is peace. Okay, there's a problem with that. They're not wrong, but they're holding up the two horns of shaitan. Yeah, 3,000 years ago, that is the sign of the devil. Never use that. Don't say it means victory. It doesn't. That's the shaitan. Lose this one, and then Allah is one. There you go. Anybody know that I always hold up this picture, like when you do photographs, I always hold up one finger, because if pictures are haram, if they are haram, on the day of Yom Qiyamah, if Allah asks us, I'm going to say, I'm as advertising for you. That's a joke. Anyway, so the idea is that we want to be on the same page. We just want to get the message across. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. Brother, you have something else? Wa alaikum salam. Brother, in the interest of time, can you just ask the question? Don't give me the setup. Okay, I got that. If the Bible has not been changed, that means that Jesus had to speak in English. And there was no English until 1066 AD, when the Normans invaded the Saxons and they established the Anglican Church and the Anglican way of life. And they called it Anglish, and then it became English, and then in 1500? I don't remember, when they invented the printing press, that's when they came up with their Bible. But the Bible itself has so many different versions. And when I say versions, I'm not talking about words or chapters. I'm talking about books. 78 books in the Orthodox Bible. No. The 73 books in the Catholic Bible, 66 books in the Protestant Bible. Now, tell me that there's all the same. Do we have any versions of the Quran?
No.
Every single dot and jot and tittle in the Quran, and I'm using that out of the Bible, by the way, is still there. According to Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, it says that Jesus said that I did not come to change the law or destroy the law or anything about the prophets. I only came to fulfill it, means do it, and not until the last day shall a single dot, jot, tittle, there's another one. It depends on what translation you have. It says it won't be changed. But each one of those is a different change from that. We don't have even a dot changed. So that's the answer to them. If you have it, and I did have this right after I came to Islam. Somebody came to my door and they were saying that they had a children's Bible. And I said, is this from the original Bible? And they said, yeah. I said, was it in English? They said, yeah. And I said, did Jesus speak English? And they said, yeah. Because he's God. He can do anything. Oh, yeah. Well, if you say God could do anything, can he lie? Can he cheat? Can he steal? Can he fool you? Huh? That sounds like shaitan to me. Yeah. And the guy, he left anyway. Anyway, let's take a last question because, huh? Yeah.
Okay, this is the last question, inshallah.
The problem I'm going to have is I have a microphone and you don't, and I can't hear anything you're saying.
Myself as a non-Muslim, like now that I finally I thought about it, I used to be a Christian, then I did.
Come on up over here. Come on.
Just more of trying to finally find
Come on.
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum assalam.
All right, come on over here.
Okay.
Now tell me, what's your question?
As a non-Muslim myself, how do I become a Muslim?
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. He wants
The brother is asking, how can you become a Muslim? Let me ask you the three questions. Is there really a God?
Yes.
Is he one?
Yes.
And do you want God to tell you what to do, or you want to tell God what to do?
Tell God what to do? How can you do that?
That's the right answer. That's a very beautiful answer. So, do you really want to be close to God?
Yes.
Do you want to go to Jannah?
Of course I do.
So I do too. So we're on the same page
Yes.
already.
Perfect.
And if you got a better way, I want to take it.
Of course. I don't have any better way. That's why I'm here.
Okay.
I've
So
thought about it for a while.
it's real simple. You don't have to jump out here and do anything more than just one step.
Okay.
One step. And you're speaking English pretty good, so
Yes.
I think we can just do it in English.
I
Is
am-
that all right? Yeah. And then we can do the Arabic.
Okay.
So I'm going to stand up now because that,
Let me help you.
yeah. You sound like you're going to start a war here. You're scaring me, man.
I don't know if that was working.
Okay. So let's get over here so we get this.
So I have another Muslim friend that told me, he said, if you go to a mosque and find an imam, they could help you. I was like, okay, cool, perfect.
Where did all these people come with the cameras? All right.
Yeah.
So tell me your name.
My name is Parker.
Parker?
Yeah, Spider-Man. Helps everybody remember.
Can you do on the wall or something?
I wish. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is. Okay, so I want to be serious about this because this is a real big thing for you.
Yes.
And it was for me when I came into Islam. And every time I see somebody come to Islam, I remind myself of how this affected me. And it really had a big impact. So I want to tell you before you do this, that don't expect everything is going to be hearts and flowers.
Of course not.
It's going to be even more of a test because people are going to ask you, oh, you became a Muslim. Oh, yeah, you're a terrorist, you're a bomber. And they'll go through all of that stuff. But I want to tell you something that I made the big mistake. Big mistake. I tried to go and argue with my parents and with my loved ones, and they all threw me out. And then it was harder after that. Even today, 30 years later, all my sisters are in their 70s now. imagine they still don't forgive me for the way I acted. But if I would have said, you know what, I believe in Jesus more now than I ever did before. And I believe in God more now than I ever did before. But I believe that I need to give service to God and I need to give service to mankind. And I really want to do that. So then they won't have a problem with that because you're going to be more servant to them than they had ever expected. And one time in the prison, I had an opportunity to talk to the warden of the prison, the one who's in charge. And he said to me, and I didn't ask him, he said, if all of the prisoners in this prison would act like the Muslims, I would turn this into a mosque. Why? He said, because they are the best example of how somebody should be. So that is the real test for you.
Of course.
All right? So you can say after me, and let me hold your right hand like that so that I don't run away. Okay? This is the mic for somebody's recording. That is, yeah. Okay, I can put that here. All right. Yeah. Okay. So you can just say after me, this is the thing that we do first. This is the first thing that we do is declare what we believe.
Yes.
And I will say it, and then you can say, if you agree.
Of course.
I swear.
I swear.
There's no God to worship except Allah.
There's no God to worship except Allah.
And I swear.
And I swear.
That Muhammad is his messenger.
That Muhammad is his messenger.
Did you used to be a Christian?
A long time ago, yes.
Okay. And I swear.
And I swear.
That Jesus is his messenger too.
That Jesus is his messenger too.
And that means actually that we believe in all of the prophets, yes. Okay? Now in Arabic, it's even easier because I'm going to do it in short little things, okay? Ashadu.
Ashadu.
An. La ilaha.
La ilaha.
Illa.
Allah.
Allah. Wa. Ashadu. Anam Muhammad. Rasulullah. Wa Isa. Rasulullah. Perfect. I think that expression is for us, not for him.
Thank you very much. I am too, actually. It's a little bit weird seeing all the phones, but it's really nice with them. Thank you.
By the way, I should tell you that everybody here has got a benefit because when Parker did this, he had all of his sins removed. And he got to turn back the speedometer because he got all of his good deeds. He still has his good deeds, but all the bad deeds are gone. And he's just like he just came from his mother. So that's why I'm only 31 years old. So maybe that'll work for you in the future. But anyway, what about the rest of us? Because we were in the same place and we were praying for him, we were hoping for him to do this. So maybe, inshallah, all of us got the same reward. How does that feel? Now,
And how about his
What's wrong with Parker? How many of the Sahabi had to change their name? Hamza was Hamza before and after. Omar was Omar before and after. Muhammad was Muhammad before and after. Sah? Only the ones that had a bad name were encouraged to change their name. Is that true or false? Yeah. I like Joseph. So, yeah, duh. That Joseph is mispronunciation of Yusuf. So I just say it better now. All right?
But if he choose any Sahaba name on Nabi name, then
Why should he do that? That is not from the Sunnah. Why should he do that? He can if he wants to, but there's not necessary. Because if he does that, you have your mother and father still living?
Yes.
What are they going to think? You don't like your name? They told you to change your name? Okay, now you're putting something between him and his parents. That's shaitan. What you're saying, it sounds good, right? But if it's not from the Sunnah, where is it from? Duh. Shaitan will not stop. He wants to work on all of us. And if Parker says anything or does anything that's not in Islam right now, they're going to say, oh, that's from your Islam friends. Huh? Yeah. So let's let him get used to what real Islam is all about. Sorry.
Still learning.
Yeah. Me too.
Much as possible.
Hey.
Which country are you from, brother?
U.S.
US. Yeah.
Where are you from?
Your native.
South Florida.
South Florida?
Yes.
Mashallah, I found your native.
Where in South Florida?
West Palm Beach, or Royal Palm Beach specifically.
Okay, you're on the east side.
Yes.
I was on the west side.
Oh, really? Where at?
Fort Myers.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had a piano store there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
It's crazy how things work out sometimes, right?
Now I'm in California, the other end of the United States now.
Jesus.
Yeah. If you ever come over there,
Yeah.
but hey, wait. You know what? We have some activities going on there in Florida, and we might be coming down there in December or January or something like that. So if you can give Habib your contact information,
Definitely.
I would really have the chance.
If I could make it, I will definitely try. I don't have much time off from work, but I think I might be able to. I'll probably be there during Christmas, of course, to visit the family. They
Yeah.
want to do that, but
Yeah, and when you walk in there and you say, with a full garb on like this, and I changed my name to blah, 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 blah. Then you get like, oh, man.
I've already spoken to them about it a little bit, so they know.
Oh, they do?
Yes. They're more accepting, so
Brother
it's
Parker has parked to you in Korea, not in America. He has parked his journey, mashallah. Jazakallah, nice to see you.
Oh, you know what? I don't want to miss this opportunity to do a prayer with him right now, because his prayers are being answered immediately because he doesn't have any sins, right? So just repeat this after me. Okay, come on over here. So, okay. Allahumma,
Allahumma,
Ya Rabbi,
Ya Rabbi,
give hidayah
give hidayah
to Yusuf Estes
to Yusuf Estes
and all of us.
and all of us.
Amen. What it means is give guidance to me. I collect my commission check up front. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you very much.
And-
I appreciate it, honestly.
Now, I got to tell you about something.
Yes.
When somebody enters into Islam,
Yes.
it is expected that I should tell them, and you pay attention to this, because it's not just about giving the shahada. You got to help them get ready for the next thing. And now it's going to be salat, right? And we pray 5 times a day.
Yes.
Now, you see, I said pray. I didn't say connect, all right? But that's the terminology we use, okay? So this prayer is coming up, and it's because you have no sins. You're washed clean than you can ever do with water. So if you want to join the brothers right now, you can do that. But then when you get home, you can make a bath or a shower and wash everything and think about it going down the drain. That's the old me, and the new me is in service to God.
Definitely,
all right?
yes.
So that is something that you want to do. You want to learn how to do the salah, the mechanics of
Yes.
behind it, but step by step. And if you want to hold back and say, well, you know what, maybe I'm not ready for that, it's up to you.
Of course.
But as soon as you can, do what you can do, but nothing more than what you can do.
Of course.
Don't stress out or try to please somebody else. You only try to please Allah. Is that right? Sound right? How am I doing? I want to give him a big hug, and then I want to let everybody else hug you.
Thank you very much.
Maybe you guys could pray, and then after the salah, then you can hug him. How about that?
You get cross if everyone wants to pray.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
a skinny guy.
maybe do the salah first.
Yes, inshallah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, inshallah. Okay.
Thank you.